week on Friday's Blue Peter and find out if you've won our bike ride competition.
911 are storming up the charts and heading for the Blue Peter studio.
Tim meets the creators of the latest book about everyone's favourite outlaw, Robin Hood.
You've read the book, seen the film, now meet the Merry Men. I'm in Nottingham as the city goes Robin Hood crazy.
What are you up to, Katie?
Well, Stuart, it is all happening here. Yes, I'm travelling back in time because for the next few days, the city of Nottingham has got a distinctly medieval feel. There's a big festival happening here to celebrate the life and times of Robin Hood, but with a bit of a 90s feel because the Sheriff of Nottingham, Robin's archenemy, is a woman, and that would have been unthinkable in the 13th century. Shocking! In fact, life in the Middle Ages was very different from today. It was tough and not many people lived beyond 30. If you had the misfortune of falling ill, you'd have to visit a medieval physician. Sir Ralph of Epperstone, could you show me some cures?
Indeed, dear lady. If you were suffering from a loose tooth, I would take a live frog and strap it to your jaw. That would firm your tooth up.
Fetching, firm tooth, but I bet you couldn't cure the terrible plague, the Black Death. By 1348, at least a third of the entire population of Europe had died of the disease, which was carried by vermin. Speaking of which, I think I smell a bit of a rat. A rat catcher, to be precise. Hello there. Hi. In medieval times, being a rat catcher was the lowliest of jobs. Now, in medieval times, a very good way to improve your lot was to learn a craft, and there are lots of craftspeople here. One of the most beautiful crafts was that of the medieval calligrapher. Printing hadn't been invented, so manuscripts were often decorated using beautiful jewel-like paints and even gold leaf. Monks often spent hours illuminating the scriptures, and it's just the kind of thing that Robin's friend Friar would have done on those quiet evenings in. The story of Robin Hood has been told for over 700 years in songs and in plays, on the television and in films. Now it's being retold by popular children's author Michael Morpurgo. The story starts in the present day with a fierce storm, a storm that lashes at houses, rattling doors and shattering windows. A storm so strong it sends trees crashing to the ground.
It's the morning after the storm. A 12-year-old boy has been watching from his bedroom window all night long, praying that his tree would be safe from harm. He rushes out into the woods, only to find the mighty oak, the biggest tree in the forest, his favourite tree, is lying dead on the ground.
No, no, I cried, and a flock of crows lifted off its crippled branches and were blown away by the wind. A tree just dead feels the same as a live one. I ran my hands along its trunk and clambered down into the vast crater and looked up. At that moment, a clod of earth parted from the roots above me and came crashing down at my feet, where it shattered into pieces.
There was something in the debris that was too solid and too shaped to be just earth. He turned it over in his hand and examined it more closely. It was an arrowhead.
The boy also finds a hunting horn, a longbow, and a skeleton. He'd found Robin Hood's grave. His tree was also Robin's tree and his final resting place. The boy falls into a strange sleep and starts to dream. He dreams of Robin Hood, and at the same time, hundreds of years in the past, Robin Hood is dreaming of him.
According to legend, this is where Robin and his friends lived and fought against the wicked Sheriff of Nottingham. Sherwood Forest isn't as big as it was in their day, but you can still wander through the ancient oaks and imagine what it was like when Robin, Little John and the rest of the merry men ruled the forest, stealing from the rich and giving to the poor. If they were ever in trouble, they would blow on the hunting horns to call the others for help. Just think, I might be standing in the very same spot that Robin Hood once stood.
It might feel like they're here, but there are no outlaws to be seen in Sherwood today. But I did catch up with Robin of Sherwood's author, Michael Morpurgo.
What made you want to retell the story of Robin Hood, Michael?
Well, I grew up, like all children, with Robin Hood in green tights and shooting arrows at targets, which is fun.
Yeah.
But what's important for me now, I think, is to try to see if I can reach back into history and find the real Robin Hood, the man behind the legend.
So do you really think that there was a man that resembled Robin Hood?
I think it's very likely that there was some poor peasant, some peasant farmer somewhere, whose family was victimized by some cruel tyrant, some sheriff, and who rose up and gathered people around him and said, "No more, I'm not having it, I'm going to resist." "We shall not kill you, friend," Robin began, "but tell the sheriff from me that the outcasts rule here in Sherwood. Tell him this too, that if he or his lackeys or anyone comes through Sherwood, then they pay taxes to us. Tell him that with the taxes we take, we shall feed the hungry and clothe the poor."
The book is brought to life with beautiful illustrations by another Michael Foreman.
I like to get as much reality into the pictures as possible. So I then start doing research into the things that people would wear, the weapons they would use. And I also like the trees to be real trees. So I go out into the woods and I do sketchbook drawings of trees. Then when I find one I think would be great to climb, because I want to conceal outlaws in the trees, I do a tracing from my sketchbook and lay that on my paper and do little individual sketches of the characters. Then I can put them on the tree and try them in different positions. When they all look like they're in the right position, I draw it down on my pad and immediately start to colour it. I like to use the colour quite freely and very thinly to start with, so I can draw on top, rather than drawing the whole thing out in great detail and then carefully filling in all the different little bits. I like it to grow.
Yeah. No, there's lots of beautiful pictures in the book. Which one's your favourite?
I think it's the one where the outlaws are hiding in the trees, and it's very difficult to actually see all the outlaws, so you have to look quite closely at them to see quite how many there are and where they are. And it reminds me of puzzle pictures I used to find in comics when I was a little boy. See how many people you can find in this picture.
For weeks and months, the sheriff sent Sir Guy of Gisborne and his soldiers searching through the forest. But the soldiers too had heard the stories of Robin and the outcasts, an invisible, silent enemy that fell on you from the trees above. Neither the soldiers nor Sir Guy of Gisborne himself had much stomach for such a fight, so they kept close to the tracks and would never dare to venture far into the forest.
Why is Robin Hood such a popular character, Michael?
Well, I think it's because he's this young man who is fighting against evil. It's right against might. Of youth against tyranny. It's a love story. It's got everything. Robin the Good, they called him. Saint Robin, Sheriff of Sherwood. To some he was a friendly sprite, a Jack of the Green, a part of the living forest. What Sir Guy of Gisborne knew for certain was frightening enough. Robin Hood lived. He was a bowman without equal in the land. He could split a willow wand at 500 paces. He could do it every time, wind or rain.
The story ends where it began, with Robin's tree. The boy realises that he must let Robin lie in peace, so he buries the arrowhead, the hunting horn and the bow back where he found them. And as he does so, he hears something strange, something whispering in the wind.
Son of Robin, son of Marion, came the whisper again. Son of Robin, God bless, God bless. I've never forgotten the place, but I might have had I not planted the acorn. I cleared a space over his grave. I nurtured the green shoot into a young oak sapling. I let no tree take its light. 5 years on, and it's twice my height already. 500 years on, and it'll be the most magnificent tree in the whole forest. Robin will like that. I know he will.
This is the most magnificent tree in Sherwood Forest today, the major oak. It's reckoned to be about 800 years old, and it's feeling its age, which is why its branches are supported. Legend has it that Robin Hood used to hide from his enemies inside the hollow trunk. Imagine the stories it could tell.
More merry men now. It's time to go back to Nottingham, where Katie's really in the thick of it.
No, don't go adjusting your sets. I haven't taken up with an old flame. Boom! I'm still in Nottingham, where the Robin Hood pageant is going on all weekend. But help! The jolly jesters have got me trapped. Please let me through, please, guys. Oh, thank you so much. Well, there's so much going on here. It's not just fantastic feats of fire. You might have 911 in the studio, but I have here the 911 of medieval England, and very fantastic they sound too. But can I join in?
Aye, mistress.
I feel a bit left out here. Oh,
Flemish
gosh.
bagpipe.
Oh, bagpipes. That'll be easy then.
That's across
Not.
your shoulder.
Okay, do I
That's
blow
in
in
your
here?
mouth. Aye.
Do you know peas pudding hot?
Aye.
Way! Go! Went a bit wrong. Eat your heart out, Ramona. Thank you very much. I'll leave it to the professionals, because if music be the food of love, play on. Falconry is a sport that was very popular in Robin Hood's day, and it's something else that you can see here in action. Oh, she's beautiful. So what would falconry have been used for in Robin's day?
It was one of the ways and means of bringing food back to the dinner table.
Well, she's beautiful. Can I try and bring her back now?
Certainly can. There you are.
Got a glove on. Why is the glove on my left hand?
Because they carried the sword in the right hand, you see.
Wow. She's fantastic. Beautiful bird. Gorgeous. Thank you very much. Hark! I can hear someone calling. Someone's in trouble. Don't panic, boys. Don't panic. I will save you. Hang on. What's it worth?
We promised to watch Blue Peter.
Nicely. Hold on. It's free! Robin lives on. Well, if you'd like to come and see Robin and his friends, they're here at Nottingham Castle all weekend. But if you can't get to Nottingham, here are some rather fantastic ideas of ways to spend your weekend.